Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'll be talking about anxiety. I'll be talking about what it is, how you can cope with it, and any tips that may be useful. So the question is, what is anxiety? And anxiety mainly is the feeling of having fear, apprehension that is characterized by physical symptoms such as heart palpitations, you may be sweating, or you may just be feeling stressed. Okay. There are different types of anxieties, which we'll be covering today. But the first thing I want to look at is the characteristics of anxiety and what they are. So usually anxiety is an unpleasant quality of subjective experience that varies from tension to terror. So the person may be feeling really tense, and then they may just be feeling this feeling of terror may just come on them. It's also having an awareness of impending danger nearly all the time. Sorry. So the person may, wake up and start the day, and they may have terrible thoughts of what will happen to them. For example, I'm going to walk out the door onto the street and get hit by a car, or am I going to break my leg, or something like that, like something that's always have an impending danger. That's what they always think about, regardless of whether the harm is there, and regardless of whether that harm can be identified. They also may have a strong urge to flee to a place of safety. So if they're not feeling safe somewhere, the person may just go to where they may feel safe. They may have a lack of control over their fine motor movements. So they may, find it just difficult in every way. They may also have thoughts of worrying over which there is little control. So they may worry about, what's going to happen throughout the day, if a person's going to ignore them, if they're going to be late for the bus. I mean, I think many of us can identify with anxiety on a certain level. I know I have a lot. And sometimes I'll get to the point where I'll be driving in my mum's car, like mum were driving, and I'll be thinking, oh my goodness, we're going to, get hit by another car, or I'll be having this anxious thought of being late to uni. So when I was in uni, I used to get the really early bus. I used to wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning. How crazy is that? So I used to wake up 5 o'clock to get the 7:45 bus for my 9 a.m. lecture. But the thing is with the bus, with that 53, its timings are very awkward. So I can't get a time closer to 8 o'clock. So I couldn't get a time that's closer to 9 where I could be like, okay, you get the bus at 8:15. Like there was no time for that. So I used to just get the bus at 7:45, and I used to get to uni really early. And my lecturers used to be like, you're very eager. And I'm thinking, if only you knew. Anyway, I managed to virtually learn to get the later bus because I needed my sleep. But that's just an example of feeling anxious and having the anxiety to not be late. And I still do sometimes. If I'm going somewhere, I like to be there early. So I'll get dressed early, and I'll just leave so I have enough time so I can just settle and get my thoughts together and things like that. Okay. The person who maybe also be feeling anxious may have no ability to think clearly, or they may not act in a coordinated manner, especially in threatening situations. So they just can't, again, function very well. So there's different types of anxiety, like I said before, we're going to go into. So there's generalized anxiety disorder, and this is shortened down called GAD, which is the excessive anxiety and worry which occurs for at least 6 months. So it's not just I'm feeling anxious today for one day, it's something that's occurring for a very long time, and 6 months is a long time. And the person's worried about different events or activities. So, for example, it may be starting a new job, or they may have a presentation at school that they may need to do, or even starting school. All those events can cause anxiety in somebody. So in that case, the person may find it difficult to control their worry, and they may feel restless, always feeling like they're on the edge, and they're probably feeling tired and have difficulty concentrating. They probably feel irritable. They probably have muscle tension, and they probably suffer with insomnia. Now, that's something that I suffer with as well, especially if I've been worrying a lot. I find it difficult to sleep, and if I do sleep, it's not restful. And sometimes, you wake up and you think, oh, man. Yeah, so the insomnia is there, and you have sleep disturbance. And half the time with me, I know for sure I find it difficult to fall asleep. And sometimes I find it difficult to even stay asleep, which is very annoying. So people who have anxiety experience these things as well. And like I said before, if they do sleep, it's unsatisfying. So they sleep, but then they feel restless, and it's just not that nice deep sleep that you usually get when you're not feeling anxious. Okay, there is also panic disorder, which I'm not going to go into, but that's also a form of anxiety. And this is having episodes of extreme fear. So I'm reading from a book right now. And dread that come on unexpectedly and repeatedly for no apparent reason. And this is also accompanied by physical symptoms. Then you also have PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. And this is a reaction to a terrifying event that someone's gone through. So think of like people who've been in the war, or suffered abuse, things like that. It's having those intense, frightening memories that keep coming on. And the person also, again, they find it difficult to fall asleep, or they're very sensitive to loud noises and things like that. So their anxiety is very high. You also have phobias, which I'll go into in a minute. But general phobia is like something being scared of birds or flies, or spiders. I have a really weird phobia. I don't even want to say it. Just think of the biggest, largest fish in the sea. For some odd reason, I'm scared of them. So whenever I see it, like my heart starts pounding. Even if it's a cartoon, I do not care. Yeah, I just can't hack it. I'm out the room, or I'm closing my eyes, or something. So I have a fear of those. And again, you also have social phobia, which I'm going to go into in a second. But then you also have obsessive compulsive disorder, which is OCD. So this is an intrusive, unwanted, repetitive thoughts and rituals performed out of a feeling of urgent need. So think of people who always need to have things in a certain way. Everything has to be cleaned in a certain way. Everything has to be put back or put in a certain way. Excuse my coughing. I just had a really dry cough before. My throat's just a bit shady. So please ignore that. So yeah, that's OCD. So now we're going to go into social phobia. This usually occurs in teenagers, but it also can carry on into adulthood. I know I've struggled with it. So with social phobia, you're constantly worried about what people think about you. So for example, you're worried to go to a party or to an event with people because you're probably worried about what they think of you at that time, and usually it's negative thoughts that you think and that they're thinking. I've experienced this. So sometimes you'll be in a situation talking to someone, and before you go there, you're thinking, what are they going to say? Are they going to like me? Are they going to talk to me? While in the conversation, presently, you're like, are they laughing at my jokes? Do I need to talk louder? Am I talking too fast? Do I need to stand in a certain way or sit in a certain way? After that social event, you're probably thinking, the thoughts are most likely, did I laugh too loud? Did they like me? Did I come across as stupid? Did they accept me for who I am? So those are the thoughts that usually occur when someone has social phobia. So this is something to spot in your teenagers or young people. Parents, definitely try and see if your kid has this and see what you can do to help. I think what people tend to forget is that social anxiety is a lot more than someone feeling shy, because that's totally different. You can be shy and that's fine, but to have social phobia, you genuinely struggle to be in social situations. You struggle to make phone calls when you need to. I know I hated it at one point, mainly because of my voice, actually. I think most people don't like talking on the phone. So sometimes I usually get my mum to make doctor's appointments and things, and now I have to do it myself. Still a bit daunting, but hey, got to live and learn. You have to grow up. But some people, they struggle with that, and they probably feel embarrassed sometimes. And in that embarrassment, they may feel as though they're sweating, that they're blushing a lot, and they're probably worried about coming across as being useless or silly. Sometimes as well, when someone has social phobia, they find it difficult to do things when people are watching. So sometimes people may find it difficult if they're in a social situation and they have to eat, and they struggle to eat in front of others for whatever reason, and that's completely valid. But they feel as though they're going to be judged. They also have a fear of being criticized, and they may avoid eye contact. They probably have really, really low self-esteem and confidence. So again, parents, if your teenagers are going through this, or if you as an individual are going through this yourself, these are the symptoms of social anxiety that you need to look out for. Again, they also have feelings of nervousness. They most likely feel sick sometimes, especially when having to be going to social situations. They probably have heart palpitations, or again, sweating. And as I mentioned earlier, again, they probably have panic attacks, which is very common. But again, it's something that I'm not going to go into today. I might do in the future. But you have to keep, just keep coming back to this channel to see. Okay, so the tips that are there to manage anxiety. You could talk to a family or friend who you trust, and talk to them about your anxiety, what you're feeling, what's going on for you, so that they can support you the best way that they can. There's also a charity called Anxiety UK, which is out there, and it's I believe it's a helpline, and you can just call them, and they're available. Again, if you want to talk to someone about your anxiety, and someone who's specialized in anxiety as well, they can help you, again, give you some great tips and help you through your anxiety journey. And there's also CBT, and cognitive behavioral therapy, which is great for anxiety because they help you go through your thought processes, beliefs, and your attitudes and how they affect your feelings and your behavior. CBT also helps to teach you skills on how to cope and eventually overcome your anxiety, because anxiety can be treatable, and sometimes it may take a long time, but it can. And there are other talking therapies that you can have access to, such as counselling, psychotherapy, and even psychological therapy. So again, you're not alone. Try and seek help, and don't suffer with your anxiety alone, because we all go through it, especially in this time of COVID. Everyone's feeling anxious about even coming out the house, having to wear a mask, or people not wearing masks and things like that. So if you're in that situation, definitely try and find the help that you need. Speak to somebody. Don't bottle yourself inside, and try and get the help and support that you need. Okay, I hope that this video was helpful to you. For those of you who suffer with anxiety, or someone who is, please direct them to this channel. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you all in the next video. Thank you so much. Bye.